Few days ago I made this post on the official Lost Ark subreddit with the sole purpose of finding out what the community thinks are the current biggest issues that the game has. I never expected this would receive over 500 comments, but I knew there was only one thing I had to do. I read all the comments, collected them into a spreadsheet, analyzed them, and made a list of 10 biggest issues that were mentioned the most. But I wanted to take it a step further by adding a nice twist to it. I asked my friend Claude for help. Claude is not a real person. It is a very powerful and progressive AI that specializes in finding solutions and fixes to the most complex problems and issues. Do you see where I'm going with this? Claude will analyze all the information I have gathered and offer what he thinks is the accurate solution for each issue on the list. The idea is that this video will serve as a voice of all the Lost Ark players who have first-hand experience with these issues, but they fear that their feedback is always ignored, forgotten, and never reaches the developers. But this time, you hold all the power over how much attention your feedback will get, by simply interacting and engaging with this video through comments, likes and shares. And who knows, maybe the feedback reaches the right people at Smilegate and Amazon and we see some of these issues fixed. At number 10, we have the existence of Pheons, which pretty much speaks for itself. It's a significant gold sink that handicaps players and forces them to swipe if they want to gear alts, ability stones being big RNG and costing Pheons while having very limited supplies of free Pheons through events, and inability to trade best in slot accessories for a different alt without paying Pheon tax. Those were the most complaints from the players about the Pheons. Claude pretty much agreed that Pheons are bad and there needs to be a cost reduction for accessories and a complete removal of Pheons on ability stones and transferring gear and accessories through roster, while implementing more guaranteed ways of acquiring them through gameplay and achievements rather than just events. At number 9, there is a lack of solo training options, where the biggest issues were that there is no way to practice new raid mechanics solo outside of just watching video guides. You have to go in the actual raid blind and hope you don't mess up and cause a vibe for the group. While few Legion raids have a rehearsal mode, it doesn't solve the problem of players wanting to learn them solo. While Claude suggests that the obvious solution of adding more solo training rooms where players can choose and practice each mechanic on repeat, these three solutions do sound interesting. Having a solo ghost mode where you watch in-game recording of a mechanics and patterns, ability to create a custom practice lobby without any requirements to learn with friends, and adding in-game tutorials and guides showcased through the NPCs. There are currently a number of learning and progression raids every day, with several active learning discords, but all of this is community driven and organized, while very little has been done to implement more options for players to learn through in-game systems. Amazon needs to do better. At number 8 is reliance on gold income, where most players feel pressure to do 18 weekly raids to make gold, which causes burnout. Otherwise they can't progress their main character. Related to this is that there isn't enough high engaging endgame content other than raids that are fun and can make gold. Raiding simply becomes a job rather than a fun experience. While there isn't really an obvious solution for this issue without completely breaking the economy and the game, Claude did suggest a few interesting solutions where one caught my eye. And that is improving gold earning through other activities such as life skills, stronghold crafting, sea and ocean content. It's an MMORPG, but where are the relevant and fun RPG aspects? Completely irrelevant, forgotten and replaced by the real job simulator. At the number 7, the good old horizontal progression. Where most players said that the grind is way higher than the actual rewards, there isn't enough variety with the side activities, some rewards from horizontal content are very tedious and difficult to obtain, but it doesn't scale too much with the power of a character. While Claude did try its best to offer reasonable solutions, I personally believe that the only way to fix horizontal content and make it more fun and rewarding is to completely rework and revamp every single system that falls under horizontal progression. Not even adding better rewards would fix it, as some of the content is just straight up boring or too grindy. At the number 6, it's Lobby Simulator. Pretty self-explanatory, where most players feel like they spend as much or even more time sitting in lobbies as they do raiding. This is a big problem for players who have less time to play, as it makes it very difficult and frustrating to play alts and experience new content. Claude made a nice summary of some potential fixes, with two biggest ones that could be implemented very easily, allowing players to apply for multiple lobbies at once rather than waiting for a decline, and allowing players to do chaos dungeons while applying and sitting in the lobby waiting to fill up. I would even go as far as reducing honing costs and increasing success chances for support classes, only to encourage more players to play support. At number 5, the big issue comes from the RNG system that has a heavy impact on players' progression. The big disparity between lucky 1-tap to 100% pity plays a major part in progression, which in turn also impairs progression of alts that are needed. Ability stones, cards and gear quality are one of the biggest non-pity RNG systems that play a huge part in how competent your character looks like when applying for raids. And once again, Claude shares very obvious but easy to implement changes, where the most important one is that all RNG systems need to have a pity. I guarantee you that if honing didn't have a pity system, Lost Ark would be long forgotten. At number 4, there is a bad new player experience, where all the issues from this list are combined into one and they completely ruin the game for new players. It takes a long time to hone to a certain endgame content, even with the express events. Learning mechanics and raids is difficult, and most groups don't want to take a new player, which can be easily spotted with low roster level. There isn't any incentive for veterans to help new players, and the whole onboarding process is pretty bad, where most new players quit before reaching the real endgame, while they all have to rely on external guides to learn about literally anything in the game. There are many ways that new players' experience can periodically become better, but it needs to start improving ASAP. Claude made a good point in offering some sort of rewards for veterans to teach and show new players the ropes, or scaling down on the honing cost that can be applied to a new player accounts. New players and returning players is what keeps Lost Ark alive. A consistent influx of new players is what usually keeps these types of games alive for long periods of time. So Amazon really needs to start implementing some of the systems that are gonna help the new players' experience. At number 3, there is another big issue, which is time investment required to play the game. Most players feel that there is too much homework each day and each week, which makes playing the game like a second job. More time is spent playing on alts than their main character due to daily and weekly lockouts, which pretty much forces players to play as many alts as possible. Finding groups and sitting in the lobby is very time consuming, where players with limited amounts of daily playtime simply cannot afford to waste. The lack of engaging and rewarding repeatable daily and weekly content forces players to do the same boring things day after day. While Claude made a good point on how this can be improved, there is only one really simple solution, which is completely reducing the amount of daily and weekly stuff you can do and increasing rewards to compensate for it. At number 2, it's reliance on alts. There isn't much that needs to be said about this. You can't efficiently progress your main character without having few alts, but alts also require resources, as they need to be progressed higher with each new content, which puts you in the vicious loop of just grinding resources so you can finally hit that item level for the new raid. But then, you're gate capped or spend most of your daily playtime in a lobby. Despite Claude's best effort to provide solutions, there is only one fix to this. Implement a solo mode for players who want to play only their main. At the start of each weekly reset, with the option to select up to 6 gold earning characters, add another option that enables only one character to earn gold in an increased amount, but not more than what someone with 6 alts would make. This will keep hardcore grinders with 6+ alts happy and give more options for players who don't want to do 18 raids each week, but would still be able to make slightly more gold with less time investment. And at number 1, we have the support shortage, an issue that has been present since early raids and an issue that will never be fixed until some heavy changes and adjustments are made to incentivize more people to make supports. This causes the highest amount of wasted time sitting in a lobby. A class that only requires 6 yearning set, full swiftness accessories and a 4x3 engraving setup. While Claude offers up some decent solutions, there is only one thing that will fix this issue, and it's definitely not releasing more support classes. Since support classes already can get away with subpar gear and are pretty low maintenance, why not significantly decrease the resources needed to hone support classes, while also increasing the chances to succeed significantly up until the threshold of the newest raid, which would then be adjusted accordingly for all the future raids. This would give every player a pretty much free high item level character that can do new raid. Sure, support classes are boring to play for most people, but nobody is turning down a free high item level character. Plus you can join raids pretty easily. Despite all the issues, Lost Ark is still a great game. Hopefully some of the biggest issues can be resolved in the near future and we can see improvements across the board. What are your biggest issues in Lost Ark? What would you add to the list? Let me know in the comments. Consider subscribing and watch some of my other content appearing on your screen.